Well, it is not something that everyone likes to talk about, but the atrocities of the Holocaust are part of a history that we all need to talk about.
And that is why the world-renowned traveling exhibition, Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away, is so important. So joining us now on the Morning Mix from the exhibition, Director of Museaua, Luis Ferrero, and Chief Curator, Dr. Robert Jan van Pelt. Thank you both so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Very nice to see you here. So tell us about this incredible exhibition. It opens this Friday at the Castle at Park Plaza. Tell us a little bit about it.
That's right. So the exhibition is a unique opportunity not only to see 700 original artifacts, but basically to try to understand how Auschwitz came to existence and to find and understand the facts of the story. So we explore the story of Auschwitz not only as a place where the Holocaust took place, but also we explore the other groups of victims. So I think it's very important to understand Auschwitz as a site and then, of course, Auschwitz in its role in the Holocaust.
There are more than 700 artifacts, which you just mentioned, and objects that are on loan from museums from around the world. What are some of those artifacts, and why are they so important to the exhibition?
There are really three kinds of artifacts. We have artifacts with stories. That would be artifacts that were given to us or lent to us by survivors or the family of survivors. And this would be, for example, a ring that they smuggled into Auschwitz because it was very valuable to them because of an association with a lover or so on, and were able to take out of it, or a blanket that somebody took on a death march and it saved many lives. So that these are artifacts with stories, and we tell those stories. Then we have artifacts without stories. These are artifacts that were found in Auschwitz at the end of the war by the Russian army, and in some way we interrogate those artifacts. We basically try to ask questions about them. What kind of person would have taken a red dancing shoe on a transport to an unknown destination? Finally, we have also artifacts that we have created for the exhibition. That is that we are not in Auschwitz itself, so we have to represent the place. So we have models of barracks and crematoria and so on, but also we have artifacts that were key to the machinery of destruction, to the gas chambers that don't exist anymore, and that we've reconstructed at scale 1-to-1 so that basically the visitors can get an idea of how this place operated as a killing machine.
We know there are still frequent hate crimes against people of Jewish faith. There are some statistics suggesting it's on the rise, in fact. So why is this exhibition so important at this moment in time?
Now, I think that right now, everywhere in the world, this is daily news in some way, what's happening as a result also of the war in the Middle East, in Gaza. And I think that one of the key facts that people should understand is that Auschwitz is absolutely engraved in the collective memory of many Jews. And that when you go into this exhibition, and of course Auschwitz was not only a place where Jews died, but the gas chambers, and the crematoria, that were really places for murders of Jews and Roma Sinti. And that when you start to realize what's in a person's head, and in some way we're going, in this exhibition, we bring people into this collective memory, then I think one should also be maybe a little bit more careful of the kind of slogans you use as you engage in demonstrations.
Just very quickly, how can people visit this exhibition?
So I recommend highly to go to the website, theauschwitzexhibition.com. We have sold out, and we are for a very limited period in Boston. It's very likely also the last time the exhibition is in the East Coast of the US, so it's a unique opportunity. We recommend highly to plan ahead and buy online the tickets.
Tickets in advance.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. An incredibly moving exhibition. We'll be right back.